and welcome to the Traveling Knitter channel. My name is Steph and this video is going to be my April wrap-up and May TBR. In the month of April, I did some traveling and I managed to read a total of 6 books. All of them were fantasy except for one, and then the other one was, it's fantasy or historical fiction, depending on, I guess, opinion. The first book that I read was Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Leventeller. I had read the first book in this duology a month or two ago, and I loved it. And so before I left, I decided, you know what, let me just pick this book up and breeze through it, which I did. I think it took me 2 days to read this book, 1 or 2 days. I really loved it. I really loved it. So obviously this is the second book and the title kind of gives things away in the first one. But anyway, we follow Aloja and she is taking over a ship. Well, she's trying to get onto a ship by having that ship take her ship, and so that she's like a prisoner, but really that's where she wanted to be the whole time, in order to locate a piece of a treasure map. And her father is the pirate king, and he is collecting all the treasure map pieces from the other like pirate lords in order to go get the treasure. So that's really the synopsis of the first one. There is of course, a love interest, which I think is fantastically done. And then in the second one, I thought it was done really well as well. I really liked it. It is a very fast-paced book. It is very plot focused. There's a lot of really like fleshed out characters in that you can tell them apart, but not let you know everything about them. So I gave this 5 stars, just like I gave the first one. I really liked the duology. I liked the pirate aspect. I liked being on the sea. I liked the adventures. It just was really good, and it made me really want to watch Pirates of the Caribbean, which I am slacking. I used to watch Pirates of the Caribbean every year. Lots of feelings with this book. Really liked it. 5 stars, super quick and easy, fast to read. The next book I read, I'll pop up a picture, was on my Kindle, and it was through the Amazon, I'm like not remembering what it's called, but it's the subscription-based Amazon service. So there's like two digital book services you can get through Amazon. There's the one that you get when you have Prime, so it's Prime reading, and then the other one is Kindle Unlimited. So Kindle Unlimited you do have to pay additionally for. If you're like interested in the bestsellers, the up and coming or well-known authors, you're not gonna find them on Kindle Unlimited. So Kindle or Amazon is its own publishing house. They have their own publishing house. They publish their own books. And that's what you're really gonna find on Kindle Unlimited. So you're gonna find a lot of romance, a lot of paranormal romance. And really that's all I wanted it for, was just to read those. Harry Potter's on there as well, so that kind of like breaks the mold. I'm not saying that every single book on there is published by Kindle. I'm saying that you're not gonna find like Penguin Random House, you're not gonna find Macmillan, you're not gonna find a ton of Tor, so like these major publishing houses, which if you're not as familiar with major publishing houses, then maybe that doesn't, like, you're gonna notice that a lot of the books you're seeing like on the New York Times bestseller are not gonna be on Kindle Unlimited. But if you love romance novels and you know, read like 10 romance novels a month, check out Kindle Unlimited. It is most likely cheaper than buying those books or what have you. So anyway, I read City of Thorns, which is by oh my gosh, what am I writing? C.N. Crawford. And I was pleasantly surprised. I picked this up because of TikTok. My favorite trope in romance is hate to love. And this one said it had hate to love, and it was a fantasy romance. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the writing. I thought our main character was just weird but funny. She was a little, so basically this world is like ours, but then there is a demon world that is right next door. There's like gates to it, and there is there was a war many years ago, and now there's a distinct separation between the human world and the demon world. The demons can only come over like at night or something, or there's like rules, and humans can only go over there if they are, I think, indentured, or if they are going to school, and to go to that school you basically get a scholarship, so it's not like you can just go to the school. So our main character, she lives in this basement. Her goal is to get into this school, but she has so much debt, the cost of the school is so high that she is, she's not telling herself that she's never gonna make the money. You kind of know, she's never gonna be there. She's never gonna get to that, even though that's what she wants to do. And then you kind of find out why she wants to go to this school. And it's basically, she saw her mother be murdered, and she has one clue, and it is a glowing symbol. And she's out to find this glowing symbol, what it means, and how it's related to her mom, because she thinks that the glowing symbol equals the killer of her mom. Then of course we have our romantic interest, who I don't remember his name, but he of course is a demon, and you're introduced to him by the main character's best friend, who describes him as, I don't know if he's at the college or if she's just seen him and he's notorious. And one night our main character is at a nightclub or bar with her friend, and he happens to be there, and he treats her as if she is someone he knows. And that's kind of the start. And you're like, well, why does he think he knows her? Why is he so hateful to her? And I've described the plot. I haven't even really gotten into why I find it funny. Our main character is so neurotic about fire, and she'll just make these offhand comments. She lives in a basement, and she's like, oh yeah, I have a fire extinguisher because if there was a fire, I would die. And it's just it's just funny. I found it very funny. She has to go through a trial, and the way that she gets through the trial is also pretty hilarious. Her random facts about surviving an apocalypse. It's just she's very disaster minded, and it was funny. I thought it was entertaining. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. So then I ended up reading the second book, which is Lord of Embers. And unfortunately, I didn't like this one as much. The humor couldn't overcome the weirdness of the plot. In this one, it's really a constant, I'm not going to tell you some information, so then you're pissed off. So then in retaliation, I'm not going to tell you my feelings or my thoughts. So it's just this constant, if they just sat down and were here's a list of everything that I know, then this book wouldn't exist, I guess. It would be one chapter. It'd be a novella. So things like that, when that's all there is to the plot, I just don't like it. I don't enjoy it as much. So gave it 3 stars. I am going to continue on because I am, I'm very interested in finding everything out. Like a lot happens at the end of the first book. Like I said, the second one is just constant, I'm not going to tell you anything, so then you're going to be mad at me and we're going to fight and all that annoyingness. So yeah, but if it sounds interesting and you have Kindle Unlimited, I would check it out, you know, you're already paying for it. I did listen to an audiobook. I listened to almost the whole thing on the flight over, and this was just kind of on a whim. I hadn't had plans to read it. It was just, I'd heard good reviews about it. Some of the podcasts, the bookish podcasts I listened to had mentioned that this was a really good book, and I knew the audiobook was narrated by the author, and the author is a comedian, so I figured it'd probably be the best way to consume this book, and that is Dear Girls, Intimate Tales, Untold Secrets, and Advice for Living Your Best Life by Ali Wong. I honestly had never heard of Ali Wong until her Netflix special. I think the original one is called Baby Cobra, and I don't really watch comedy, like stand-up comedy specials, but for some reason the Ali Wong one, it like popped up, and it probably like played a bit, and I listened and I thought it was funny, and so I watched it, and I watched both of her stand-up comedies. I really like female stand-up comedy or comedians. I've also seen Michelle Wolf. I think she's hilarious. Also, her voice just helps with her delivery. But anyway, Ali Wong, I'd seen her 2 stand-ups specials. If she like came to Columbus, or if she, if she has a show in New York, I would totally pay to see her. I thought she was hilarious. So anyway, I listened to her audio book on the plane, and I was like sniggering. I had a row to myself, so it was fine. No one was there to watch me, but I thought it was really good. Like, I gave it 5 stars. I really liked it. I liked how open she was, and she's basically talking to her daughters and about, you know, life lessons she's learned, meeting their dad, the struggles of infertility, her going through her abortion, just being open about her life and advice and stuff. And I could relate to quite a bit of it. You know, not the having children, not the getting married part, but you know, her advice, I really could relate to that. And you know, like, yeah, you're kind of voicing that very well, and I just really enjoyed it. So 5 stars for that audiobook. Oh, and then the afterword is her husband, because she does talk about her husband. Her husband is kind of the butt of a lot of her jokes, is included in her jokes. You know, she makes fun of herself, which in turn has a husband, has a family. They're part of the jokes too. So it was quite, I really liked the afterword where, you know, it was kind of from his point of view. Then another book that I brought with me on my trip was this guy. I brought it because it was like small and thick. And this is A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Mila Vane. And it is the first in the series, A Gathering of Dragons. I have some quibbles about this book. I was not a fan of the voice or the way that this was written. I don't know like what the author's goal, but the whole time I was like, this is written like how Yoda speaks. And it was so annoying that it detracted from the story. It detracted from this whole book, and that I was just, when I would read the sentences, I would like change them in my head because I thought it just didn't fit. A way that the sentence structures were, I don't know what this is called, but it's where you start your sentence with like a description, comma, and then you have the main point of the sentence. Like, when I see the keep, I do not think of round batik. Right? It's passive. That is the problem I had with this book. So many of the sentences were written in passive tone or passive voice. And you can do that, but you can't, like, it's so distracting when the entire book was written like that. And again, like, I just opened to a random page. Chin sinking low against her chest, she nodded. Passive. But despite her agreement, there would be no walking or stretching. Passive. Even as Maddox watched, she fell asleep, slumping sideways upon the stone seat. Passive. After wetting the rags again, he slid his arm beneath her leg. Passive. The next sentence is passive. 2 sentences after that, passive. Like, and then here's the Yoda speak. A hard taskmaster, Maddox's mother had sometimes been. Ha! That literally is the reason why I gave this 3. Originally, like, probably to here, this was a 2-star read because of the way this book was written. But towards the end, the plot really started getting to me, and I was just very interested in this book. It is definitely romance heavy, which was what I was looking for. I mean, honestly, look at the cover. I thought there would be more fantasy because it's gathering of dragons, but apparently dragons aren't dragons in this book. Dragons are the, like, formation of warriors protecting a king, commander, what have you. So the whole point of this book is like a revenge story. Our main character, Maddox, his mother and father are like the ruling king, queen kind of their country, their region, and they are murdered, and he is out for revenge against the country that murdered them. And his revenge is in the form of kidnapping this secret daughter and having her child, or her having his child, because then he like gets to take over that country. And our main character, the woman, it was like Yvonne, she also wants to have revenge against that country because she's been abused her entire life, and so she wants to marry Maddox, have his kid, and basically take that country and rule it, and take it away from her tyrannical father and brothers ruling. That's basically the plot. It's political intrigue. There's quite a few characters. It's a journey story, which is one of my favorites in fantasy, is, quest stories. The romance was interesting. It's not really fantasy to me. It wasn't heavy in the fantasy. It was just kind of like an adventure story. They were kind of like Vikings, really. I felt like more like Viking-ish, Viking-esque. I don't know. I think I'm gonna read the next book. I don't think it is about are main characters in this book. I don't know if it's like their children or someone they know. There is like a little excerpt. I don't like to read the excerpts because if I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna read the book. So, but I don't recognize the character's name in the excerpt, so yeah. Did I say that I gave this 3 stars? And then the last book, I am so pleased to say I finished Dragonfly and Amber. I made a goal to finish this book before I stepped foot into my apartment. And I did. I did it. I did it. I did it. I finished this book at the Charlotte airport and I was so pleased with that. So pleased. I did it. I finished it while sitting at a restaurant eating the spiciest buffalo shrimp ever. It was excruciating. I was trying to wipe the buffalo sauce onto the napkin and I basically ate all the shrimp as fast as I could because I did not think I would be able to recover to eat more. So, Dragonfly and Amber by Diana Gabaldon. I need to look up how to pronounce her name. This is book 2 in the Outlander series. A lot happens in this book. A lot happens in the first Outlander book. I don't think it doesn't make sense to talk about what really goes on in this one. If you've never heard of Outlander, there is a show that is very popular. I've watched part of the first season and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first Outlander book. This book was a slog. This one was rough to get through. I gave it 3 stars because in the end, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed like the beginning and then I enjoyed the end. The middle took me forever. The things that I don't like about Outlander, I think I've mentioned this many times. I don't foresee myself ever having kids. The concept of pregnancy kind of grosses me out. I don't love that. I'm obviously everyone else, you can be pregnant. It's not like I think you're gross. I just don't want that ever for myself. And in Outlander, there's a big topic of discussion is that. And there was like an entire chapter where they were discussing like breast milk and like there's just this comment from Claire, our main character, to Jamie, her husband, about, or like he makes a comment that he wants to like drink her breast milk. That just like grosses me the F out. Did not like that. There's a comment about like, I want to protect you, like to a grown ass adult man by putting you back in my womb, which I just can't relate to that. That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. And it's just gross. It's gross to me. I don't like that. You know, some people find gore gross. Some people don't enjoy like extremely descriptive sex. I don't like pregnancy stuff. I don't enjoy it. Which is also kind of, I don't really like family sagas because I don't like to follow the children. I don't care about the children. And so with this one, is the start of the family saga. And I don't know. I just don't know. So 3 stars. For my May TBR, I have quite a lot of books, but again, my TBR isn't a strict, these are the books that I'm going to read in the month of May. It's more, these are the ones that I would like to read or would like to pick from. Now I'm in the middle. I've started quite a lot or several of these, so I'll touch on those. I did start Voyager, which was book 3 in the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. I am not going to be finishing that. I know that already because that book is even longer than Dragonfly and Amber, and unless it is more interesting to me, that book's gonna take me until December. I am also in the middle of Six of Crows. I did not bring this with me on my trip, so that's why I didn't get any further in this book, but I would say I am like 20% of the way through this, and I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying it. This is the first in a duology. It is the same Grishaverse, but you're following different characters. So there is Inez, I feel like, is our main character, and she's kind of like a secret assassin. That's what I would call her. And then Kaz, I feel like, is going to be her love interest. He is the leader of their group. And yeah, so I'm about to get to the main point where we're introduced to what the plot's going to be. And if I recall, it's going to be to steal something. Then I also started 10,000 Tries by Amy McKechnie. And this is a middle grade book about a boy. His name is Golden, and he's working on 10,000 hours of soccer so that he can be a pro. And his dad is diagnosed with ALS, and he has this like vision that if he becomes captain of the soccer team and wins their championship, that his dad will be able to walk onto the field, they'll hold the trophy up and win. Basically, his dad won't die. And I mean, I am 25% of the way in, and it is hard. It is, for a middle grade book, this is pretty hard to read. I'm loving it a lot, but also it's hard because I don't know, middle grade, a younger audience is going to read this. They're probably not going to pick up on all the nuances that the author is putting in here. But I, as an adult, like, you know, I don't know anyone with ALS, but like, I could. I'm at that age where my friends, my coworkers, like, that could be a big part. And so it's definitely a sad read, but an important read. And I think I'm gonna really like this. Like, I mean, right now, this is a 5-star read so far. I think it's really well written, and I mean, the cover, so that's his dad, and that is Golden, and this is his friend Lucy, and then I think this is his other friend. What is the other friend? Like, Benny? I don't remember, but it's the other best friend. Then I slightly started this book. I think I read one chapter. This was the other book I brought with me to Germany, She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I really want to get to this book because I feel like I'm gonna love it. Like, this, I think, is gonna be a 5-star read for me. It is about a girl who is born into a family, and her, like, her fortune or whatever is that she really doesn't have a future, and her brother is going to have a fantastic future, but then something happens and that her brother dies, and she just takes over his life. And I think she goes off to war. I think it's like, I hate to call it like a Mulan story, but I think she goes off to war and gains glory. I'm sure there's a lot more to it. I also want to continue my reread of A Court of Mist and Fury. I feel like I don't have to talk a ton about this. Sarah J. Maas. This is the book 2 to the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. This one is the like Hades Persephone retelling. Yeah, so I really want to get to this and read this. Even though it's giant, I know that I will fly through this book just like I did the first time. I also am going to get to One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, and I know I'm going to get to this because this is my friend and I's book club pick, and we are going to talk about it during our New York City trip. So I'll be in New York City for an extended weekend towards the end of May, and we are going to talk about this book. So this one, it is set in New York City, and it is about August and Jane, and it's like a romance story. I think it's slightly like fantastical, which has me a little bit concerned because I typically don't enjoy fantasy set in contemporary times, or I kind of like fantastical realism is what that genre is. I don't typically enjoy that, but I loved Red, White, and Royal Blue, so of course need to give this a shot and read it. And I wanted to put a book on my list that is from my 20 books of 2022 that I want to get to, and I'm pretty sure Between Shades of Grey is on there by Ruta Sepetys. This is set in Lithuania, 1941, and it's like set in the Dachau camps, and there's a movie on this that I would love to watch. So I'd love to read the book, watch the movie, and then talk about that. So that would be interesting. It's won a lot of awards. I really liked Ruta Sepetys' other book that I've read by her. I feel like I would breeze through this. I also was thinking about reading Far From the Light to Heaven by Tade Thompson. This is a sci-fi novel, and it's like my favorite style of sci-fi, which is on a ship that is going to a location, and you have a bunch of people that are supposed to be on the ship, but then they die for some reason, and you only have like one or a handful of people that are on the ship trying to figure out the mystery. And so that's basically what this book is. It's my favorite style of sci-fi, so I feel like I'm gonna love this. And I also was thinking about reading 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City by KJ Parker. And it says it's a World Fantasy Award winning author. I wasn't getting fantasy vibes from this book. It is about a city that is either about to be sieged or it is being sieged, and our main character is trying to save the city, and they either are an engineer or they like command the engineers. So yeah, it's literally about a siege city, which is interesting because I feel like other than A Tale of Two Cities, or wow, no, not the Charles Dickens story, The Two Towers, I think it's the second Lord of the Rings book. You don't really read from the sieged city. A lot of times you're reading from the city that, or the army that is attacking the city. So this book sounds really interesting. And then lastly, I'll be posting a book haul later in the month, and this book will be on it. The Highland Hawk by Leslie T. White. This book was published in 1952, manufactured in the United States of America. Wow, right? Wow. Look at this cover. I don't know a ton about this book. other than this dude is named Hawk, and I'm assuming he's like a war hero, and all the ladies want him. So that's that. Those are all the books that I'm thinking of reading this month. Let me know down there or over there, depending on what form you're watching me on, what books you're planning to read, or any books that you read in April that you loved and that I should read, because clearly one can never have enough books in one's life. Thanks everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.